So I'm too excited. I have to record another video. All right, but I want to tell you, I at least want to give you a little bit of information of what I'm going to be talking about and how this is going to play into so many things. So many things. I'm so excited. Okay. I took a bunch of notes, guys. A bunch of notes. You see? This is almost filled with all my notes. Almost. But, so, what allowed me to understand myself, oh, it's just so beautiful. It's so beautiful. It's both scientific, with biology, psychology, you know, it's just like, oh, it just speaks to my heart. It speaks to my heart completely. So this is called the Big Five, okay? And the first time that I ever found out about the Big Five was with Jordan Peterson. Back in 2018, 2017, it's whenever I remember listening to him and I really enjoyed his talks, except I love him, but he would go to so many different stuff. Like he'd be like all over the place and I'm like, okay, I can't keep up with you. But I remember that, again, you know, in my last video, I always say I was always interested in people. I always wanted to understand why people were the way they were. So the first time that I ever found like a quiz that probably spoke to me, it was the 5 languages. The 5 love languages. So that was one. Okay, I've always been into home organization and home, like all that. So then there was also there is a channel called Clutterbug, and this girl has a quiz on what type of organizational style you have. I love, like, that one was really, really good too. The other one, the one that was like the closest to the Big Five, but definitely not as intensive is and more of a simple way to understand people is called The 4 Tendencies by Gretchen Rubin. That one was like stepped a little bit more into understanding people. And whenever I found that one, like when I would find these quizzes, I would make everyone around me take them because I just wanted to understand the people around me. I was like, oh my gosh, take this quiz for me. I want to get to know you better. Okay, so again, always been interested in people, but then I remember Jordan Peterson. One of the things is like I admire him, very smart, very intelligent. And then one of his talks, and I don't know, podcast, whatever, he talked about how the most data-driven information in psychology is in personality psychology. I think the first one is maybe clinical, I don't know. And then the other one is personality psychology. So, and I was like, what is personality psychology? I didn't even know what that was. So anyways, that's where I got introduced. It's called the Big Five. And if you look it up, you'll find all the information about it. So basically is that look at this guy, since 1884, his name was Sir Francis Galton, British scientist, Darwin's cousin, okay? This guy, this is when the Big Five started, okay? And this is, again, one of the things that I have always loved and admire are people that are good at mathematics. Because, you know why? Now I understand why I've always not loved, but admire people that are can understand math. Because math is the language of the world. Math is the invisible language of God. Like whenever, and this is the other thing that I've recently have discovered, because I've always been interested in religion too, but you know what would always bug me about like really religious people? Their black and white thinking. How like if you got into like you were really maybe a certain religion, or you know maybe a preacher, or you know, I think anybody that has really gotten into religion is like they see the world in such two big contrasts, and I could never do that. I could never see the world like that. I could never see the world of like just like black and white. I could never do that. And when I would force myself to see that way, I would always question myself. I would always question, but why this? Why that? Why this? And I've understood now, and one of the things that I've always admired about scientists, the good ones, is that there is this wonder. There is this wonder, this honest, and some of them don't even believe in God. Like some of them are not so-called atheists, but they don't talk about God. They talk about the beauty of the universe. They talk about how there's so much that we don't know. Like, we know this little bit, but there's so much more that we don't know. And that I love. Humbleness. And that's what I always want to be. I always want to be humble. But that's one of the things that I've always admired mathematicians, because in a way I kind of understood before I even had words for it, is that they're able to see the invisible beauty of the world. Because whenever like a biologist looks at a plant biologist, it's like they're able to see the smallest part of everything in the world, and then how it's connected, how you see it, and then through seeing everything you connect to God. And oh man, I've always loved that. And that's why religion has always been a little bit more of like, whenever it's like there's this thing in me that's just like, I remember when I was doing a lot of self-help stuff, and I tried it, like I would say, okay, I want to get into maybe a religious podcast or a religious, I don't know. I grew up Catholic. I was baptized Catholic. But my family was just, baptism, confirmation, all of that. We never like went to church every Sunday and stuff like that. So, and my parents, they never like pushed a lot of religious talk. But it was more of like, my dad was always like, you don't just show up to church and then you're a different person outside of church. You do what you say you're going to do each and every day. So that was just kind of, and then, so anyways, besides the point, I remember when I started listening to podcasts, and I would hear the religious people, and oh my gosh, I would kind of be turned off. It's like they have this way of speaking that you can tell that they grew up being religious. Like, they have this like arrogance sometimes, not everyone, but it's just like these type of words. It's kind of like, this is what I'm going to say. It comes from the brain and not from the heart. You know what I'm saying? We all feel it. Like, we all feel it. Like, when we're really in tune with our feelings, we can feel when somebody's really telling you something and it's coming from their heart versus just telling you something because they've memorized it. Okay? And whenever I would hear religious people, not everyone again, but a lot of them, it's like you could just tell. There was this like higher than thou authority. Like, I can't even, it's just like, and it would turn me off. I'd be like, I can't listen to this. I would be like, I can't listen to this. But and that's why I was always intrigued by science, because I feel like the best scientists are humble. Okay, got interrupted. I'm a little shy of people seeing me record my videos, so that's why it kind of was abrupt there. I'm a little shy, guys. Back in the day when I used to record my videos, back in like 7 years ago, 8 years ago. It's 8 years. I don't know why YouTube says 7 years, but I remember I would watch them over and over and over again, because I would edit every but, every ugh. But then when somebody, like if my husband put the video and he was listening, I'm like, I don't want to listen to myself. Like, please, like, go watch it somewhere else. I don't want to listen to myself talk. So that's why I'm a little like shy. My husband just came in for something. I'm like, oh, turn it off. Okay, so back to my thing. Oh yeah, so back to the scientists. So one of the things that I've always admired about good scientists, and I think one of them that comes to mind is Dr. Huberman from his podcast Human Lab or something like that. I love him. Like, I love it when people don't become dogmatic about their views of the world. Because, one of the things about scientists, good ones, is that they say, we know this, but this can change, and there's so much more we don't know. Because that's the thing that I've always, my heart, my person, that's the thing that I have always had trouble with religion. Always about that. About the rules being so rigid. So, back to my history of the Big Five. So that's why when Jordan Peterson came about, one of the reasons that I loved and I gravitated towards him is because he would mix the scientific with the religious. Oh, I love that. That was the first time that I ever saw somebody actually do that. And oh, I was so excited. So throughout everything that he did, you know, there was one time that he started talking about the Big Five, and he said this is the most clinical, like there's so much data. There's so much data to back this stuff up. And, you know, he was talking about just in psychology, something about how, yeah, like that's just how you are going to understand people if you know about this. And let me tell you something. I have a bunch of notes because I've been researching this for a while now, but there is this one note that I had to copy because it just like when I read that, I'm like, what, puppy? Okay, so it says, oh my god, what? Oh no, I don't know where I was, but anyways, so oh yeah, Jordan Peterson. So when he connected when he connected religion with science, oh, it just spoke my language. It spoke to what I had been wanting my entire life. And so there was a talk that he did about talking about the Big Five. My child. About the Big Five. And this is the Big Five. And I'm not going to give you, okay, but it started since 1884 with this guy right here, okay? Sir Francis Galton, mathematician. And he said this. He proposed, and this is, okay, and this is where I didn't know this. There was philosophy, but philosophy was more of wisdom. It wasn't anything provable, okay? It wasn't something that you could prove. So it was more based on just people being, I don't know, wise about the world, right? So there's the philosophy aspect of things. But then when psychology came in, psychology wanted to make it, they wanted data. They didn't want somebody to just say, this is how I feel the world should be or is, or this is, it's like, it wanted to be more data driven. That's where psychology came in, okay? So that's what happened. So whenever this was happening throughout this time, Sir Francis Galton, this guy right here, he said, he proposed, and he didn't actually do anything. He just came up with the idea, put it on a paper, and he said that he felt like the best way to map each trait, like the best way to really understand people is to systematically classify words that people use in their everyday language. Because in order for you to describe somebody, you have to have a word for it, right? So that was his idea. He said, I think that if somebody goes through the dictionary and kind of finds the words that relate to each other, we're gonna come up with words that kind of mean the same thing. They're just used differently, okay? So he said to treat language as a natural catalog of important traits. So this was his idea. He didn't do anything with the idea. He just put it out there for somebody else for just, you know, an idea. And that's what I think is so beautiful about human beings is that, you know, somebody can have an idea and somebody takes it and then another person takes it and another person takes it and it grows and grows into something like this. And so that was in 1884. That's when it was the first time that it came to be proposed in a way. Okay? So the Big Five. That's where we get the Big Five. And I'm gonna have to stop right here because my little boy needs me, and I think that's enough for today. But I just, like, if, you know, any of you out there are like, what is she gonna talk about? That's what I'm gonna talk about. It's gonna start with that. So the Big Five. Just search it on Google, search it on whatever. and you will find all the information about it. But I'm going to go through the history of it, and then I'm going to go through the characteristics of it. And oh, this has opened my eyes to so many things that for my entire life I was searching for. So, talk to you guys soon. Bye.